Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the final MEAC Football Coaches Weekly Press Conference. I apologize up front for the technical difficulties that we are having, but I appreciate all of you being here and hanging in there with us. I am Karen Carty, the Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations at the MEAC Student Athletic Conference, and I will serve as the moderator for today's meeting. To ask a question, I think Teams has a raise hand feature. If not, just unmute or hit me in the chat and we will get your questions in. Mr. Cunningham was not with us today because he is wrapping up or traveling back from the volleyball championship last night. So I will provide this week's MEAC notes. South Carolina State defeated Norfolk State 31-21 at Dick Price Stadium this past Saturday to finish a perfect 5-0 in MEAC play and earn the 2021 MEAC Football Championship outright and clinch the conference's bid to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. The Bulldogs will face the champion of the SWAC at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia on December 18th, live on ABC at 12 noon. Corey Fields threw for 3 touchdown passes against the Spartans, all to Shaquan Davis. North Carolina Central is the 2021 MEAC football runner-up after the Eagles ended their season on Saturday with a 34-28 overtime win over Delaware State. Latrell Collier had 2 rushing touchdowns for the Eagles, and the Hornets' Trey Gross wrapped up 4 touchdown receptions with 142 yards on 12 catches. Morgan State wrapped up the 2021 season on Saturday with a 28-21 win over Georgetown. The Bears close out their season having won 2 of their last 3 games, and Alfonso Graham rushed for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. The 2021 All-MEAC football teams will be announced on Tuesday, November 21st, which is tomorrow, with the exception of the Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year, which will be announced on Tuesday, December 7th in Las Vegas, Nevada, as a part of the National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame annual awards dinner. Howard University won the 2021 MEAC Volleyball Championship on Sunday evening in Burr Gymnasium after defeating Delaware State 3-1 in the championship match, which was broadcast live on ESPNU. Freshman Simone Woodard was named the tournament's outstanding performer after hitting .444 with 10 kills, 8 digs, and 3 blocks. The Bison earned the MEAC's automatic bid to the NCAA Volleyball Championship, and the selection show will be on Sunday, November 28th at 8:30 p.m. on ESPNU. All right, got some people here waiting to get in, so let me let everybody in, and then we can continue with Coach Scott.
Ken, I don't know exactly why, but it's been giving me the right, so I've been letting them in as I see them. So
thank you, Coach. Thank you for having my back. I appreciate you. Thanks. All right, Coach Scott, thank you for working through these quick changes we had and being here with us today. Let's get right into it. The Bison had gotten off to a great start against the Dragons of Virginia Lynchburg on Saturday, but we know what happened. What would you like to discuss about that contest?
It's a shame that you have to, the unfortunateness of the incident that occurred to overshadow kind of what, the kind of day that we were having and the kind of day you would hope to have for your seniors and end the season the right way and go out on a positive note as you build into the off season. But so many things happen and there's so many teachable moments and all those type of things. So it's another area for us to understand the entirety of the situation and grow from. So very unfortunate as to what happened. Went from a single isolated incident to, a bit of something that got kind of out of control. So at the end of the day, don't want to see that. Not going to tolerate that. That's not what we're about and who we are as a program and as we build this thing. So definitely something that we are going to grow through and learn from and watch all the video and do all those things and work with the conference office to make the best look at it and hand down whatever findings and those things that come from that as we move forward. So very unfortunate as to what happened on a day that we thought was going to be a really momentum building day for us.
All right, Coach. Your first full season as head coach of the Bison is now complete. Give us a recap of the season and how it went.
Oh, kind of some ups and downs. You look at, there's about 3 or 4 games in there that you can circle and go back and say, hey, if, one possession here or there, the ball bounced this way or the other way. and you're looking at a very different deal. You know, you go down to who's our champion now, and you're 15-12 against South Carolina State. You're in a ball game there. One possession or two could be the difference there. You go back to even out of conference games, the Robert Morris deal. You lose by 6, I believe, that day. And then, the Delaware State game, we went back and forth, came down to really a single possession, 2-minute drive there too. So there's 3 or 4 games that you look at that could have went, the other way, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 6-5 at worst type of situation for our first year out of the gate. But ups and downs, some goods and bads, ebb and flows, things we learned from and got better at. There's some things you're really proud of. You talk about being one to be a disciplined football team, to be as highly ranked out as we are in the FCS, and least penalized teams is definitely a positive to build off of. We were able to do some things offensively with a really young offensive line and young skilled players that you look forward to building on in the future as well. So it's one of those deals where we want to really quality control the whole thing, top to bottom. What we can do, what we can do better, things that we need to build our offseason around to make sure we're correcting and putting in the right order to come out and be the team I think we're going to be capable of being the next year, which is going to be, I think, going to be fun for us as we build this thing.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. We will now turn to the media for questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How we doing, James?
Pretty good, sir. 56-6, I want to say. Can you just take us back to the Lynchburg game and any takeaways you would like to share as we move forward? And again, it's all about the Bisons going forward.
Yeah, I think, you really want to establish, the mindset of the opponent being ourselves each and every week. And so all the things that we worked hard on, during the week, we talked about playing clean execution. So I wanted to take things all the way back to just home. We want to go back to our base things we did in the kicking game, the base things we do well on offense, and the base things that we do on defense, and go out and see if we can play a clean, well-executed game. The kids bought into that. We came out, and I thought, every possession, I think we touched the ball in that half, we scored on. And defensively, we let a couple plays out the gate, but other than that, we were playing clean, executing well in the special team kicking game, and all the little things that we wanted to make sure we went out and do. And that's why it's such a shame for things to end the way that they ended right there at half. But we saw some things that we know we wanted to see building, and moving forward. We got a lot of young guys was rolling in there too, and got them involved really early in those things. So, a lot to build off of that way, but also a lot of things we got to make sure we address it and handle the right way with the other incident.
Coach Scott, you have a solid foundation on the hill, if you will, and you can move this forward, this program forward. Just talk about going into the spring. It should be a great outlook in terms of the spring game, student athletes moving forward, education, and so on and so forth.
I think it'll be the first time, the sentiment around our program is how excited our kids are to have a true off season. That's the sentiment in the locker room and in the equipment and amongst each other, the conversations of getting together and all being committed to the off season and having one. This is a football team that's probably got a year, strong, almost 1.5 to 2 years of not being developed, holistically in true programming, just because of the nature of everything that was going on, all the changes and COVID and all those things. So they're truly excited to get to what that is and what that looks like. And one of the things that we do well is develop. And the off season is a big part of that. And we have a model for what that is and what that looks like. And it's very systematic. And it's one that's taught and built through accountability to not only the program, but to each other. In every facet of it, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the field, whether it's, old school mat drills, whether it's, community service, whether it's, academically, there's a huge accountability system that's built through our off season that I think is the major building block in building our program. And we hadn't had a chance to do that up until this point. So we're excited about moving into that and what that can do and what difference that's going to make in our football team from this year to next year.
Thank you, sir. We want to thank you for covering you this season, and we look forward to moving forward and covering you in the near future. And good luck at Howard.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Berry.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, looking back on this season, first season at Howard, what are some things you learned about yourself as a coach going through some of those tight games and improvements?
I'll tell you what, that when you believe in sound process, and the messaging don't change. You can't be the coach that switches up the messaging and try to find ways to motivate a football team. That's not planned and processed out and truly built the right way. So I think we did a great job of setting the framework and keeping the messaging consistent about process, learning what that's all about for our football team and within our program. But obviously you learn so many different things because there's so many variables that actually impact that. Whether that's relationships across campus, whether that's administratively, whether that's team travel, the way that you do everything, and making sure that it's a model that fits us for who we are and where we sit. So learned a lot of different things. I learned that also, this league is very competitive. There's a lot of really good players in this conference, and it's one that week to week you better bring your A game and be prepared to put out your best showing, because on any given Saturday, you can lose a game or get beat. So you got to be prepared each and every week, and it just speaks to the competitiveness of this conference and how good of a job and how well coached the kids are in this conference and how hard they play. So kudos to all of the coaches. We have some really good coaches, I think, in this conference, in this league, and some really good players. So it's very competitive.
Okay. Second question. This season, you saw a lot of NFL former players join HBCU football, in Deion Sanders and Eddie George. I know there's been talk about more media, more publicity around HBCU football. Have you felt that this season, more attention?
I felt that you see it more as more visible, which is awesome, which I think is the biggest piece to it, right? It's just the exposure to what's going on and what's happening, and doing the highlighting of the stories and different things like that that's happening on these campuses all around the country is huge. And then once you start to shine a light on a very polished product, I like to say, of course people are going to be attracted to it, and you'll get more attention drawn to it and all those type of things. So I think it's been great, and I think it's something that definitely was a great starting point, but I think there's a heck of a lot more that can continue to be done and highlighted in HBCUs and athletics in HBCUs.
Okay, thank you, Coach, and it was a pleasure covering you this season.
No problem. Thank you. See you soon.
All right, Dr. Cavill.
Coach Scott, I had a similar question in terms of team evaluation and self-evaluation. When does that process begin, and just a general overview, how do you go about that process?
I tell you, Doc, that is one that's continuous. I think if you're not continually evaluating where you are day to day, week to week basis, from everything from practice schedules to how you travel, how you eat, what you eat, all of those type of things, continuous evaluation is necessary. And I think what you do now is, at the end of the deal, at the end of the season, you actually take a deep breath. You go back and you reflect. First of all, you got to recharge and reflect. Sometimes you got to remove yourself away from the forest a little bit first to climb back in there and be able to see all the things that you need to address and get addressed, and then have a great plan for attacking what those things are. So we're going to take a step away here a little bit with the holidays and those type of things. I'm a huge family guy. Want to get coaches. A lot of our coaches don't have their families here with us in the DC area, so we're going to close out some things with our family here, with our kids here, as well as we can. We're getting them ready for finals and all of those things, and we're doing our exit meetings with them right now to tell them their strengths and weaknesses and things they need to work on to get better. And then I'm gonna get these men out of here to their families so they can go home and recharge their batteries too as well. That's huge for us. And then we're gonna hit the road recruiting. We're gonna attack those type of things, and then we'll get back in here in January and really start to quality control everything that we did in the program, top to bottom, which is a process I've already started. Because like I said, that was a day by day, week by week basis for some things that we got. Because I think we have a heck of a chance to be really, really good here. We're gonna be really, really good here. And it starts with us refining what that process is and what that looks like, and building that model. And then, you know, the accountability that comes when once the plan's in place of making sure that we execute it, you know, at an elite level each and every day. So that's what we're going to do. But in order to do that, you got to be fresh, you got to be recharged, you know, and those things too, because everything needs balance. And that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to hit it hard and get back to work on building this program.
Thank you, Coach. As a professional, I thoroughly enjoyed the process, and I will continue to move forward. And I wish all you, your players, as well as the organization, the great opportunities moving forward.
I appreciate it, Doc. Thank you so much.
All right, Ty.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning, Ty. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, Coach. If you could, without giving me a stock answer, can you tell me what's the biggest need from a skill position or position group that your team needs going into 2022?
I think we got to continue to build the back end for us defensively. That's one of our biggest needs. Our secondary, we need to get some, you know, quality, a few more quality players back there and continue to build the depth. So at skill position, that's definitely one that we will get addressed. Like where we are at some of the other skill positions, we're really young there, and I like some of the holes we filled right now with our commitments and recruiting.
And when it comes to recruiting, is there an individual or someone that kids can reach out to get their huddle tape to when trying to contact Howard to take a look at their tape?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our coaches are assigned different areas and regionally around the DMV area and around the country. They all have those areas. We talk about them. We pub what those areas are. A lot of times we want to get ready to social media push another release of that and what that is. And then what you do is you just send that film, you know, and huddle link to that coach's Twitter or email it to that coach's email address or to our recruiting coordinator, Aaron Kelton. And then we disseminate that to the coaches and coordinators on that side of the ball, get the video watched, get the evaluation made, and get a response back to the coach or prospect.
All right, Coach, thank you. Good luck in the spring and next season as well.
Thanks, Ty. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, Coach Scott, thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you for being with us the entire season. We appreciate you. Good luck in the off season.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Enjoy your holidays.
Take care, you too. All right, up next is Coach Trey Oliver of North Carolina Central. Morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm well, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. All right, it's now 3 in a row for the Eagles, thanks to their dominant and dramatic 34-28 overtime victory over Delaware State on Saturday. Recap that game for us.
Yeah, I don't know how dominant it was, but it was one heck of a ball game, and you know, we knew coming in that Coach Milstead and those, you know, Delaware State had a physical football team, and you know, those guys play really hard there. Started off, we were fortunate enough to block a punt, and you know, Scoop and scored on that, and but we gave them momentum right back, and we gave up a big return on the kicking game following that, and it was back and forth until, like, I think right before the half. We executed a 2-minute drive and went up 14-7 at halftime. But went into the locker room. I told those guys, you know, they were just down 26-0 to Norfolk the week before. These guys are not going to quit. So we've got to be able to finish the game. And, you know, we come out and give up 14 points. They outscored us 14-0 in the third quarter. And I think probably the turning point in the game was we had a big fumble recovery, the start of the fourth quarter. And game went in overtime, and we were fortunate enough to make, you know, one more play than them down the stretch in overtime. But I take my hat off to Coach Milstead from, you know, where that program was when he took over to where they are now. You know, they have a great coaching staff, but it was a heck of a ball game.
Awesome. The Eagles were a part of the MEAC championship chatter right up until the final weekend of the season. What stands out most about the 2021 season for NCCU?
Well, you know, it was a tough season, and we went through so much adversity and had so many injuries. And you know, we had guys that stepped up that I didn't, you know, really didn't even think they would ever play here. And you know, it was every week was something. You had to come to play every week, and for us to have these overtime games and just it's a dogfight. And I take, you know, for us to be considered in the conversation talking about championships, that means we're heading in the right direction. But I take my hat off to Coach Buddy Pugh. I was joking with them early talking about the coaches. We let them get this one this year. it says he's on the back end of his career, but Coach has been able to continue to have successful, put great ball clubs year in and year out on the field. And, that's a testament to him and his staff and what he's done. But it was a heck of a year for us. I wish we'd have played a little bit better in a couple games, but at least we gave ourselves an opportunity to be mentioned in that conversation.
Absolutely, Coach. Those are my questions for you. We will now turn to the media with the first question coming from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
James, how you doing?
Pretty good, sir. Richard, Collier, and Smith. Can you just talk a little bit about those three gentlemen and, again, the performance on Saturday?
Ooh, those guys, Mookie, Latrell Collier, I mean, he's a blue-collar guy. He, just comes to work and does what he's asked to do. Like I said before, I think he was 4th on the depth chart last year and probably 3rd on the depth chart this year. But somewhere or another, he always finds a way to get in the end zone. Davius Richard, he's played well. I thought he did a better job towards the end of the stretch protecting the football. We did have one interception Saturday, but he's coming and he's progressing. He got a little cold Saturday. I told him I'm not going to recruit any more quarterbacks from Florida. They can't handle the cold. And Smith, Devin Smith and Andrew Smith, both of those receivers are, freshmen, and they're young guys. And, Devin Smith, they show up to play every week, and they are outstanding young men, and they're going to have a very, very bright future.
Coach, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the ebb and flows. Can you just recap the season from your perspective, what you liked, and as you move forward and, get the Eagles to continue to fly, so to speak?
Right. Well, I like the fact that our guys persevered and they don't quit. And we talk about not watching the scoreboard and don't watch the clock, just play. And I don't care whether we up or down. We're playing Marshall. Marshall was up probably about 40 points on us, and they're trying to punch it in with a minute left, going 2 minutes. And our guys kept them out of the end zone. And then, you see we were struggling against, Division II Winston-Salem. Our guys, pulled that one out late. And South Carolina State, we, fought. But our guys persevere, and they play hard, and they'll play 60 minutes. And I think moving on to next year, we have to do as a coaching staff, and it starts with me, putting these guys in better situations to be successful. I think there were some opportunities throughout the year that we didn't give our guys the best shot, the best opportunity to be successful. So the same way we want our guys to improve this offseason in the weight room and with film study, I think, as a coaching staff, and it starts with me, we have to do a better job as well.
Thank you, sir. Have a great offseason, and BNC Sports, we're always here for you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cavell.
Yes. Good morning, Coach Oliver.
Doc, good morning. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. I hate that the season is winding down. Some is over. I guess some will have to get going in the second part of the season. But I wanted to ask you about first. I don't know what it is with the Eagles in overtime, but it works out. You all have it working out in your favor. But I really wanted to ask about the offseason in regards to evaluation. Do you do a personal evaluation and a team evaluation? If so, can you tell us the framework about how you go about it?
Yes, we'll definitely evaluate all the young men in our program. From there, I'll evaluate every area, whether it be sports medicine, strength and conditioning, video, every facet of our program. I'll take a look at, and I think it starts with myself. And I was with Coach Broadway many years ago, and I was talking to him. And one big thing about it is sometimes you have to coach coaches, and not to say the coach is doing a bad job, but just to make sure that you're all on the same page. There might be some things that we want to do differently. Sometimes you have a scheme or philosophy that doesn't fit the young men that you have in the program at this point in time. So whatever the case is, you have to be able to find a plan for these young men that they can execute. And I think our staff's done a great job this season. But there's always room for improvement. I'll give my administration, George Bulldog Smith. He's our sports administrator, and we'll sit down and We talk every Monday, but we'll sit down and I'll let him talk to me about areas he thinks I can improve on. And I've tried to take my hand out of a bunch of things. The kicking game, I still have my hand in a little bit, but I want to let my coaches coach, but at the same time, I have to make sure that they understand exactly and clearly what I expect and what I want from them.
Understand. Thank you for your time. It's been a blast covering you in your program with the growth. Look forward to covering you as the years come forward.
Yes, sir. Enjoy you too. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, Ty.
Hey, Coach Oliver, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, Coach, besides getting you a quarterback from Alaska, because you don't need a warm weather quarterback, what's the biggest position of need or skill that you need for the team starting next season?
Well, we'll definitely have to address the running back room. We're losing Isaiah Totten, which has been everything for us for the past 4 years, and then Jordan Freeman has been outstanding back for us as well. There we have to address our linebacker needs and always depth at offensive line. But we're relatively a young team, and we have a bunch of guys coming back, and also a tight end. We'll have to address. We're losing 2 tight ends, and that's a big area of our offense. So tight ends, running backs, depth at offensive line and running back room.
That's a lot of work, man. Now, when it comes to recruiting, where do kids outside of the footprint of Norfolk State start? I mean, North Carolina Central start in terms of trying to get in contact with the program so they can get a look from you?
Well, obviously our recruiting coordinator is Tyrone Greenwood, but any film that comes, send it to me. I don't even need to go through my recruiting coordinator. Send it to me. I watch film, and I don't turn down anything but my collar. So
Right.
I'll watch film. And one thing that we do here, I'm on my coaches all the time about whether the guy can play or he can't play. Just communicate with his head coach, with the young man. They're sending their film to us and let them know, a brief evaluation. But there are diamonds in the rough out there, and there's guys that all over the country that can play. And you better check your email. You don't need to go jump through all these hoops and stuff right here. You better check your emails, and you never know when the next all-conference player is going to come from.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot. And do me a favor. Will you please tell Kyle Server I said hello?
Kyle's the man, man. Kyle's the best in the business. I'm telling you. I sure will, though.
All right. Take care, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Berry.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good. And following up on recruiting, recruiting has kind of changed over the course of the last few years. You have the transfer portal now where you have pretty much a whole database of athletes from all over the country. How do you, as a coach, kind of find balance between recruiting kids directly out of high school versus recruiting kids out of the portal?
I'm all about high school players and finding young men that want to come to North Carolina Central and that want to be a part of our program. And I like to develop them. Unfortunately, when COVID hit and we were about to play a spring season, and then a lot of guys opted out due to COVID, there were a lot of gaps on our roster that we had to try to hurry up and fill. So we did have to rely on the transfer portal last year. But it's so much to that. If it's a guy that we already have a pre-existing relationship with out of high school that we recruited, and he went to another school and decides that he wants to come here now or wants to come back closer to home, that's one thing. But I'm not signing anybody out of transfer portal just to say I got a guy from this division FBS school or whatever the case may be. A lot of times, guys that can't play on at that FBS school can't play or at your school. So I've seen a whole lot of guys, Division I guys that can't play, and secondly, it's also got to be a fit for your program. And what's the makeup of the young man? I'll just throw a school out there. If the kid's not happy at Penn State and all the stuff that they give him at Penn State, I promise you we're not going to be able to make him happy here, unfortunately. But so you have to really make sure you do your homework and investigate who these guys are. But I'm all about high school players. And if you look at the ones that we've had success with all throughout my career, all the schools I've been at, they're high school guys that wanted to come to your school, wanted to come to your program and be a part of that. Not guys that, how can I say this? They haven't been divorced 3 and 4 times. Now they're trying to get married the 4th time. So I want guys that want me.
Okay, thank you, Coach. And it was a pleasure covering you this season.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, Coach Oliver, thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you for being flexible to stay with us. Appreciate you. Good luck in the off season. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You guys have a good holiday weekend as well.
Thank you, you too. All right, popping on with us just in time, Coach Rod Milstead from Delaware State University. Morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Can
I'm
you see?
well. Thank you for being so flexible with us. I know we had some issues switching at the last minute, but I'm glad you were here.
No problem. Last minute. I mean, last minute. I just got on 10 seconds before you said finished up with Trey.
Right, and I kicked it to you because I saw you pop on. So thanks again for being here. But jumping right in, Coach, it was a roller coaster ride for the Hornets during the last 6 weeks of the season. First, share with us your thoughts about the overtime game at North Carolina Central this weekend.
Wow, it was. I mean, everyone who watched it and attended, they got their money's worth. It was a really good game, a hard-fought game, and I take my hat off to North Carolina Central. They just at the end of the game, we both had one bullet left in the chamber. Ours jammed and theirs made the target. So I take my hat off to them. It was a good game. The guys played hard on both sides. We made some mistakes, of course. They were able to capitalize off them. They made some mistakes. We were able to capitalize off them. But to me, it was two evenly yoked football programs it was the battle for second place. The way it seems, when you look at it and all the smoke clears, that's what it was. And both teams wanted to be there. One was going to be in third, and one was going to be in second. So unfortunately, we didn't get the victory. But we learned a lot. We learned a lot this year. The last 6 weeks, you're right, were roller coaster rides. To lose 4 games with a 6 point deficit. You go back and you watch the films and you say, "Hey, what happened? Why couldn't we get over the hump?" And it was just the small things, details, the mental mistakes, the maturity factor, and then towards the end, some injuries kind of caught up with us. We were very, very fortunate for the most part of the season. In the last couple of weeks, some key injuries took place, especially for this last game. We lost our kicker. It's kind of ironic. He kicks a squib kick that helps us seal the game with Norfolk, but he also tears his ACL, which is crazy. Yeah, it's plant foot. It's plant leg. That was crazy. That's when that happened. And then our starting left tackle, who's done a really, really good job. The second quarter against Norfolk, he broke his leg and continued to play. So our starting right guard had the flu. So we had a freshman at right guard, a freshman at left tackle, and you guys know we got a right-handed quarterback. So that was a tough task for anything. But all in all, not making any excuses. I'm very, very proud of our football program. You're talking about a team that was in last place in 19 and worked their way back up to finish in third. And, we're still young. We're losing 5 seniors. Trey Gross being the most productive, I would say. But then you got Quana Colley and Matthew Dirks. 5 starters are actually leaving us, which is on the offensive side, which is going to be tough to fill. But we got some young guys and that are ready to play, and some of them have gotten opportunities to play throughout the season because of those injuries. And I'm looking for us to take it to another level next year. I really am. The guys are excited. Met with them yesterday, and they want to rest a little bit. It's 5 games in the spring and taking about 6 weeks off, and then getting right back into it for the fall campaign. It's been a long ride this year. We played 16 games, but the upside to Delaware State football is really, really bright, and I'm so thankful and blessed that these group of guys, man, are eager to come back again next year and see if we can take this thing to a championship.
All right. Hoping for a quick recovery for those players. What will you remember most about the 2021 season?
A team that wouldn't give up. They're just resilient. I mean, in every ball game, whether we're up, whether we're down, they just wouldn't give up. They fight till the end. They're a band of brothers. They have really. This is probably the closest knit football team that I've had since I've been here at Delaware State. You got guys who actually care about each other off the field the same way they care about each other on the field. And that's something that I talked about day one when I got this job. There was a whiteboard in the lobby of Conwell Hall, which we had our meeting in. And the first thing I wrote on the board was family. And this group right here has been with me through the past 3 seasons, last 4 years. And that's the one thing that all of them said yesterday at our ending meeting, that, Coach, you brought a sense of family here to our program. And that means a lot to me, because that was one of my goals, that I wanted this program to be built on the family principles. And I've shared it with you guys on many occasions, but family for me is an acronym, and it's forget about me, I love you. And I want our guys to understand, you're playing for the guy beside you the same way. I'm not coaching for Rob Milstead. I can't win any more Super Bowl rings as a player and those things. So I coach for every kid, and I coach for the coaches. I don't coach for any individual accolades. It's about the team. Put the team first and the family first. And our guys have really bought into that concept. And you see, it's a different program than it was a couple of years ago. And I'm excited, like I said before, on taking this thing to another level next year and competing for a championship.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now go to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Awesome. When you look at taking your program to the next level and using the foundation from years past and recently this season, just talk about moving forward into the off season and the recruiting process and that whole piece there.
Well, we got some holes to fill. I've been really dedicated on building this program through the high school ranks. If you look at our schedule, it's a little bit different than most of the teams that we've played against, because I really believe I want to bring guys in and groom them to be Delaware State football players. A lot of times you get guys in from other programs, and they have a mindset from whence they came, and they bring that with you and try to implement it into your program, and then you try to mesh it and see how you can make that work. Well, it's been a little bit different here at Delaware State, and it's going to take a little bit more time to build, because we're not bringing the plug and play ready guys in. We're bringing in guys that we're grooming to be good Delaware State University football players. And I use that because I was one of those guys that had to be groomed, and I was here for 5 years. And I didn't turn out half bad, James, if you look at it. And so I just see those guys bring a lot of value to your program. And it turns out that those guys, the program means something to you, because they actually become stakeholders. They're actually watching how their progression comes in, how they have matured, how they've grown, how they've accepted coaching, how they become students of the games, how they've gotten bigger in the weight room. From a guy like myself, I got here at 235. I left here at 293. I came in running about a 5'1". I left here running a 4.71. Okay, so it's a little bit different when the program means something to you and you become a stakeholder and you buy into the philosophy of the coach and the vision of the coach. And it's been great for us. I'm seeing the guys that got here in 2018. I'm watching their maturity, watching grow, seeing them getting bigger, see where they're getting stronger. Trey Gross used to have dreadlocks in 2018 when I got here, and now he has a slick business cut. And he really took care of business on Saturday night. He was just a man possessed, and he left everything on the field. And that was what I wanted to see. I wanted to see our seniors go out and just leave everything on the field. And his 12 catches, 4 touchdowns, I think 142 yards. I mean, he'll be able to tell his kids one day, like, my last game was at North Carolina Central. Although we didn't win, I tried my best. This is what I did. And I'm so proud of him and what he brought and to our university, and what he brought to our team. Trey's a kid I watch follow in that Rob Milstead pattern and get better and better. When I first got here, I said, man, the only thing this kid can do is catch alley-oops, man. He's just, route running wasn't the best, and he just continued to work. And then this year, he just refused to lose. Every game, he's like, "Coach, put the ball in my hands. Put the ball in my hands." And someone wrote on Twitter that he's Mr. Consistent, and he is. He's definitely Mr. Consistent. I would sum up our team this year is the team of inconsistencies. Okay, and that's not saying anything negative. It's just saying that in order for us to compete for a championship, we have to be more consistent in what we do. We can't be on a roller coaster ride. Okay, we got to be on the space shuttle. We got to continue to take off. And so that's what we're looking for next year: get off the roller coaster and get on the space shuttle.
All right. Thank you, Coach. It's always a pleasure to cover you. And we look forward to seeing you down the road, and you have a wonderful holiday season with your family and Delaware State University.
Well, fantastic. You too. Have a great holiday season. I am going to take a few days off. Okay. Y'all know that Thanksgiving is a fat boy holiday. Y'all can have Christmas. Y'all can have the birthdays. All we care about is Thanksgiving. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet potato pies.
You know it, man. Any kind of pie. I don't care if it's sweet, sour, whatever. Okay. I'm excited.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Oh, Ty Miller. Wait, you're muted, Ty.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. You mentioned the players up top that you have leaving, particularly on offense this year. What's the greatest position of need or skill on offense or defense that you need for your team going into next season?
I would say we would consistency. I know you guys are probably saying, "Oh, Trey Gross is leaving," but we have a real good receiving core, and we have some young pups that didn't get a lot of playing time this year. Well, Trey just opened the door for them. Okay, and several of them are going to be competing. I want more team speed. So of course we're going to be going out recruiting more speed. Savion Wilkinson has really solidified the running back core, and then the running back room is really stable. The offensive line will probably be the big push this off season. I want to bring in some tackles and a center, and some guys that are a little tall, a little lengthier. I want to get taller. I want to get bigger. But I don't want the fat guys, and I know you heard me just say about a fat boy holiday, but I don't want. I want more tall, athletic guys. We're going to look a lot like the 49ers looked years ago when I played for them, where we're really athletic. We can run, we can trap, we can pull, we can get out there on screens. The linemen that we had this year was a little bit limited. There were certain things we were more road grinders, and being able to push piles and push people over. And Savion was able to have that success this year. But we want to add another dimension to our game. We got a quarterback who's maturing, who has really gotten better every single week. Jared Lewis has. He has definitely separated himself from the pack to be the starting quarterback. And I know when he hears that, he's probably going to say, "I can't believe Coach Milstead named me the starting quarterback." But it's his job right now. And it feels good to be able to go into an off season knowing that you have a bona fide starting quarterback that really, I mean, he's the heartbeat of our offense. Wherever Jared goes, we go. Okay, if Jared didn't have a good game, it's a tough deal for us on offense. Okay, our defense, I got to send a message to everybody. They're coming back. Every last one of them. They're coming back. We're not losing not one single soul on defense, which is great for us. Our defense is the big part of why we were in every game that we played in this year. Those guys are playing lights out and did a phenomenal job. Of course, we're going to add some pieces of the puzzle to that as well, in terms of some defensive backs. Linebackers are pretty stout at right now because we recruited real heavy in 2019 and 2020 at linebackers. but we're going to add about 3 or 4 defensive linemen too, and they're going to be tall, lengthy guys as well. We really want to be able to block the quarterback's vision, make it very difficult for him to throw. If we can't get there by pressure, then we would definitely want to cloudy the airways and make it difficult for him to throw the ball, get more batted balls in 2022. So got to find a kicker. Okay, I don't know. Our kicker is an aviation guy, and he just got an ACL. He's got to have surgery, and he's graduating. So I'm quite sure he's going to probably make that decision that, I'm not going to be in the NFL, but I'll be able to fly planes for the next 30 years. He already has a pilot's license, and he's also a bona fide instructor. So I got a feeling he'll be making that phone call or having that conversation that he's going to go, be a fighter pilot for the United States Air Force or something like that. And so we'll be looking for a kicker as well. But all in all, we got a few pieces of the puzzle that we have to get addressed. And, we'll get those things addressed, and we'll bring out the same football team minus the 5 with the new additions and get ready to go in the fall 2022.
And when it comes to kids finding you as opposed to you finding them, who is the person they should contact in terms of getting a look from Delaware State?
Me, no question. Myself. Hit me on Twitter. Milstead69. So they know. Kids know all day long how to get. Trust me, my Twitter is loaded with kids, and I ain't got nothing to do right now. Okay, my coaches are going out recruiting. I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm going to watch as much film, and I'll shoot it to them. Okay, Coach Braxton is our recruiting coordinator. He's the one who puts it all together. But I do a lot of the weeding out of guys, and I would like to think that I'm a pretty good judge of talent and of character, because you got to have both of those to be a Delaware State football. I don't care if you're the best football player in the country, but you're a jerk when it comes to society. You can't play for me. Okay, I'm not gonna just limit my integrity so that I can get a guy here that's going to help me win football games. You got to be able to help me win football games, but also help me win at the game of life. And that's big for me. So if it's that type of guy, I got to pass on him. And I'll look for the guy that has those qualities to make up a Delaware State Hornet football player. I don't want us to be in the news on anything negative. I want us to be all positive. Okay. And I want to develop men of character and to do what the billboard says up front. As soon as you come in, go forth to serve. I never forgot that. It's still there. It was there in 1987, and it's still there. And I promised myself and my Lord and Savior that if I was ever in a position to be able to go forth and serve, I would like to come back and mentor as well, okay, and help somebody else grow. And so I'm very, very blessed and thankful to have this job right here. I mean, I get paid to come back to a place I love, to manage a football team that I love in an environment that I love. So to me, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck in the offseason. We'll have kids call you after Thanksgiving dinner.
Fantastic. Is that a Browns hoodie?
I cover everything, so yeah, I wear what I have.
That's very unusual. Not many people wear Cleveland Browns stuff. I mean, when I go back to the DC area, I have a couple Browns shirt and I wear it. People look at me like, what are you wearing that for? But they forgot that I played. They also wear Cowboy stuff, and I don't wear the Washington football stuff because all my stuff still has the old logo on it, and I don't want to offend anybody. So I usually do not wear that. But I wear a lot of San Francisco stuff as well. But, very rarely you'll see me, occasionally you'll see me not wearing something Delaware State. That's my brand.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks a lot. And for the good comments all season. And we will hope to talk to you again next season.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Coach Milstead, thank you so much for being with us today and throughout the season. I appreciate you. Have a good holiday and enjoy every piece of pie you come across.
Thank you so much. You guys have a blessed holiday season.
Thank you. You too. All right, up next, we have Coach Dawson Odoms from Norfolk State. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm well today. All right, Coach, can you give us a recap of Saturday's game against South Carolina State?
Well, first of all, congratulations to the Bulldogs and representing the MEAC. Coach Pugh has done an outstanding job. I've been knowing him a long time. He was an outstanding high school football coach. He went over to South Carolina and helped Lou Holtz have some success. And South Carolina State, he's always had them in contention every year. Just an outstanding individual, and I'm just happy I have a chance to have getting to know him and known him for a long time, and he's done an outstanding job in our program. Take our hat off to the Bulldogs. I thought we had a chance in that football game, but when you look at it, the trenches, I really thought their offensive line and defensive line took care of business, and they laid on the running back. And that's the first running back to face us all year from Wake Forest, Toledo, all the way to South Carolina State that was able to rush for over 100 yards, and he did it on, I guess you would say he did it as a man would do it. 32 carries and 170 yards, and uh, that's the strength of their football team, and that's always been something that they have done very well, and they were able to do that. Quarterback played extremely well. The wide receivers, um, they played like a championship team, and I told our team afterwards, this is the staple in the conference. Long as Buddy Pugh is going to be there, this is the football team. We got to build our football team um, to beat. And I think every coach is saying the same thing here today is that when you play the Bulldogs, you're going to get a fight. You're going to get a physical football game, and your guys going to need to be prepared for that. And the teams that have played them very tough this year in our conference are built for that fight. And we look at our football team, we got to get in the weight room. I think that's one thing we found out from this football game is that football is still about that weight room. And I believe that. And I think that's something that we're going to evaluate and how we can continue to get better in that department and recruiting. And I think you saw a big difference in the trenches. And I think that's where that game was won. And I thought they did a fantastic job in dominating the trenches, both offensively and defensively. But we got some good players. We got a good team coming back, and we're looking forward to the off season. And we're looking forward to finally spend some time together and not have to grow together as a football team. But I was really proud of these guys because I really thought from start to finish, they competed at a high level. And that's something you can be proud of as a coach. The ball didn't bounce your way, but that you have to make that ball bounce your way. And we know it starts with our all season program.
Awesome, Coach. Give me your overall thoughts on your first season in Norfolk.
Well, probably one of the most difficult challenges I've had to face in life is especially during the pandemic and moving in short notice and not really having your football team to build any continuity. And I think that's tough. But despite of all of that, we were able to really put a product out there that I think our Norfolk State University family and friends and community alumni can be proud of, and they can see that this culture is slowly changing, and it's happening right before for their eyes. But I really think that it was as good as it could have been. We would hope for it to have been better, but I believe in the purpose of the good Lord, and our purpose was 6-5. Now, how do we change that? Is where all of our attention will be placed. And we understand that if we want to be better, we got to do things a little bit different. Attention to detail and what we do and how we do it. We will get better. Uh, it will start with me. I believe that as a head football coach, we go dot our I's and cross our T's, and we go follow the process. We go chop wood, carry water, and we know we're not far away. But at the end of the day, I would say, you know, it was worthy of a winning season. Uh, but it's not about the results that we want. I just think 6-5 is mediocre. If you're not hosting the trophy or at least playing for it, then it's not a successful season. That's what we're supposed to be coaching for, and that's what we're supposed to be building the program to achieve. And our players are going to know that this off season is that we're about winning championships, and we must put ourselves in position. We had a chance in November. We went 0-3, and now we got to look at how we change that, and it starts in that weight room.
All right, Coach, those are the questions I have for you. We'll now get to the media questions, beginning with Mr. Brian Smith. Wait, you're muted, Brian.
Hey,
There you go.
Coach, good morning.
Smith.
Given your mission statement, can you hear me okay? I just want to make
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Given your mission statement, I remember you talking about it prior to the season beginning. What's transpired through the whole thing, how do you assess things and then moving forward this time?
Well, I thought we had the right formula. I thought we was in position. You want to get to November with a chance. And I thought we had a chance in November. We didn't close out the season the way we would like to have closed out the season, but then you have to identify why. Then when we look back on it, the reality of it is that you can see the teams that took advantage of the pandemic in the weight room from a weight room standpoint. And then you can see teams that had the layoff that for whatever reasons, they may not been able to get in the weight room as much. They could have been shut down from the pandemic, different things, different positive tests and different rules and regulations. And I think that played a major part into the development of this football team. They weren't able to lift as much and train as much as they would like have to in the fall, and they wasn't able to do it that much in the spring. And then we get them here in the summer, and you start looking at that, you start seeing a year and a half where you can't make up in the summer. And once you get into the season, you're in season training, you're not lifting to build muscle, you're lifting to maintain. And I think that was some of the biggest issues that we ran into. And I think that's why you see such lopsided performances. Once we got to the second half of the seasons, bodies weren't able to hold up. And that's training. That's all season training. And I think once we identified that, I had to take my hat off because these guys didn't ask for this hand. This hand was dealt, and they tried to follow our process to the best of their ability, and they went out and they competed. And we knew the deficiencies, and I still think the best is in front of us. We're losing some really good players, but I really believe the best is in front of us because we have identified our weaknesses. Now it's time to turn those into our strengths.
All right, Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
When you look at the Spartans season, you come in, you set a foundation. I see I see a 6-game winning streak. I see a quality foundation. Just from your perspective, what do you see? And just talk about moving this thing forward. And again, it's all about continuing to be successful.
Well, I think you graduate from being a stepfather to young men that are 17, 18, 19 years old that I've said before will never call you father. Now it's time to cultivate that 4 and 5 year old that now you can build a relationship with. It's hard to coach guys you haven't even had a chance to build a relationship with. Don't Some of the guys I couldn't even tell you what high school they were from, and that's just because we haven't been able to sit down and talk and really to get on the same page or getting to know each other. Because when you get here, you realize football is about to start, and you got to really get going with football. Just new X's and O's, a new mindset, just trying to get as much to them as possible, and that's tough in that short period of time. But I think building the relationships is going to be huge now. Is that these players understand um, we love them and we care about them. I think they really know that now. Now we can build some trust and begin to really set the foundation, like you said, for this program. And we had some good times during this season where we played extremely well. And all the way up into the end, the ball bounced differently. We're talking about our last game being totally different. And that was something that we can hang our hat on. But before you can ever win a championship, you got to first learn how to win. And I think our guys established that this year, that they understand how to win. Now, what's the next step that we know how to win? It's all about how do you go about carrying yourself so that you can sustain winning. And that's something we're going to focus on this offseason.
Coach, going forward, there's student athletes who are there on campus. You have high school student athletes who are looking forward to get into the college game, and then you have the transfer portal. Can you just talk about those 3 different avenues and how they can connect going forward?
Well, I think you have to look at immediate needs. Where you at for as the matriculation of your classifications when it comes to each position. and just understanding that you may not need a high school defensive lineman. You may need a immediate need, whether that's JUCO or whether that's transfer portal. Or vice versa, you may not need a transfer. You may need a guy that you can develop that don't have to play right away. So I think every institution is different, and I think every head coach is different. But we do know that, and I expressed that to some recruits that were here Saturday, is that you have to understand that you need to know where you want to go, because come Monday, the portal is going to be open, and it's going to be full of guys, and some of those guys gonna have 4 years, and that's another thing we look at is how many years does this individual have? Because that's just like getting another freshman. And then you look at relationships, or is this somebody that we know? Is this somebody that we recruited? Is this somebody that we built a relationship with that chose to go to another school, and we know who that person is? And I think that's big, knowing who you picking out of that portal, because it's all about having a locker room that is together, and you don't want to bring the wrong pieces of the puzzle into that locker room.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to cover you. We look forward to covering you going forward. And BNC Sports, we're always here for you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Have a great holiday.
You do the same.
Thanks.
Ty?
Hey, Coach Odoms, good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Coach. I heard you talk about the lack of strength on your team going down the stretch. Did it start to show up after that 6-game winning streak, or during it, or when did it start to show up that you needed more time in the weight room?
Second half of games. I think when you look at the second half, we had to fight every team we played in the second half. And, when you sit down and you say, well, how you blow leads, or how do leads disappear? And it's usually mental. Well, physical training is how you strengthen your mental toughness. And when you're not physically trained, it's kind of hard to be locked in mentally. And then when folks start laying on you and running into you, and you're not physically able to respond, then you begin to wear down. And then your depth, the lack of depth is also something that plays into that. So when you start looking at those dominoes, it's hard to fight off momentum if you're not mentally tough. And mentally tough is created by the weight room. I tell people all the time, they say, well, what made you so mentally tough as a player? Well, because I had confidence from the weight room. Guys got to be strong. And when you're strong, that creates a different kind of confidence. And that's what we go challenge our team with this offseason, is how we can become a stronger, a bigger, and faster football team. And now let's watch how the Spartans play.
And if you look at one position unit on your team, whether it be on offense or defense, what would be your greatest need going into the 2022 season?
Well, I always say if I'm going to build a football team, I'm going to start with 3 positions. I'm going to start with a long snapper, I'm going to start with a punter, and I'm going to start with a place kicker. Because that's the quickest way in this game to lose. And when you're not very good, that's the quickest way to put yourself in position to win. I think the kicking game is one of the most valuable parts of the game. And I think when you solid there, you got a good chance to play good offense and good defense, because you can always flip field position. And we had issues with our kicking game, but we're on the recruiting trail, the portal. We even inventing a new column. We're looking for aliens, so maybe they'll show up. So if they can kick and put it through the upright, we'll take them.
And Coach, I asked this question only because being around high schools, I know a lot of kids, they get coaching in high school, but not beyond it to go through the process of trying to land at a college, whether someone recruits them or whether they try to get there themselves. So what's the process at Norfolk State where a kid can contact the Spartan program to say, take a look at my tape?
Well, if you follow our program, we have a strong support on social media. And anybody that reaches out, I'm on Twitter. I don't really do Facebook and Instagram, but my young coaches on Facebook and Instagram. Email, Coach Scholar Jones is our recruiting coordinator. We have a football email here on campus. But most of the time, I get most of our film is if somebody want to really contact us, they do it via Twitter and email. So I just believe that that we have done a great job of building relationships here in state of Virginia, going to some of the high schools and making sure we knock on the doors and let them know what our needs are and building those relationships. And that's what recruiting is all about. It's relationships. People send me film from all over because they sent me film and I worked at other places. So you try to capitalize on your friendships and really build that and just use that as a recruiting tool. But mainly it's that social media, because all recruits are on social media and these guys do a great job. And then always look at film, whether they can play for you or not. You gotta at least look at them and then know what we're looking for. If we say we want length in our secondary, then we go find length. If we know that guy is somebody that doesn't meet the length, but he's a good football player, let's not compromise our needs, and let's always meet our needs, and then we can look at other things. So we're always focused on our needs. We go address our needs, and we know that one need is the kicking game, and we go address it, and we go get that solidified, and then we'll go on to the next position of needs. But I always believe that in recruiting, you must sign and recruit the needs of the individuals of those positions.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck during the offseason.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, one more question for Mr. Brian Smith.
Coach, you mentioned needs and everything. You had such a core group of seniors that are now leaving the program now. You've had experience in the past. How do you try to, because you can't really teach time and experience. How do you recover from something like that when you lose something like key components on the defense and offense, particularly a quarterback?
Well, I always say that if you're a good program, you never replace its players. If you're a consistent winner in a program, your program should always create a window of opportunity for somebody else to write their legacy. And that's what football is all about. Everybody's going to have to replace good players every year. And the thing is that you have to know that as a coach, and that you have to understand what type of player is needed in order for your program to go forward and continue that kind of success. Uh, we're not gonna replace them, because I don't think those guys are replaceable. But I do believe that their departure creates a window of opportunity for somebody else to step up and say, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna be that guy that's irreplaceable as well." And that's sort of the mindset that I have as a coach. And I've been down that line, and everybody said, "Man, you got lucky at your last spot. You just keep bringing in a quarterback and a quarterback and a quarterback, and they all just keep rewriting the record books." I think we have a formula of what we're looking for at that position, and we're going to follow that formula. That formula has paid dividends for me at other places, and it's certain characteristics that you got to have to play that position, and we're looking for it. And one of the characteristics is a winner. If you're a winner in high school, put the right talent around you, you're going to be a winner in college. That's just how it works. Now it's all about those other characteristics. Are you a leader? Do you have those qualifications? Because one thing about it is hard to make leaders, because this generation does not like to talk. They don't like to speak up. So you have to have a guy that can command the huddle, but also command the locker room. And those are the pieces of the puzzle that we're going to put together with this next recruiting class. And I'm grateful for the seniors that we had, even though we had a short time together. Hopefully I was able to impact them in a positive way.
Thank you, Coach, and happy Thanksgiving to you, sir.
It's Thanksgiving every day around here, boss.
All right, Coach Adams, thank you very much for being with us today and for being with us all season. Best of luck during the off season, and happy holidays.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Just remember, give more. Give more. There's always somebody out there that have a lot less than we do. Be a blessing to others during this great Thanksgiving season. As always, behold the green and gold.
Thank you, sir. All right, up next we have head coach Buddy Pugh from South Carolina State. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Karen, how are you? I don't know how I got this thing back here behind me, but I'm playing with. Y'all been talking for so long. I got myself in trouble back here. So I think I might have maybe the Golden Gate or something behind me, but heck, I don't know. Y'all
I like it.
enjoy.
We're definitely enjoying it. Well,
Yes.
Coach, first of all, congratulations on the championship this past Saturday. It's really good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But jumping right in, the Bulldogs not only came away with a 31-21 victory over Norfolk State, but they came away with the outright MEAC football championship. How big was that victory, and how satisfying was the championship for you?
Well, it was huge. And you got Trey Oliver over at North Carolina Central, who wanted a piece of our trophy. And I've been through that before, where we broke that trophy up about 10 pieces one year. So we were trying to see if we could bring it all home so that we could actually be able to figure out what it was. When you break it up in so many little pieces, sometimes you don't it doesn't look like itself. So we got it all straightened and we're happy. But I gotta tell you, I'm proud of this conference. We've got six of us if we count myself, but 5 head football coaches. I think on everybody's program, is showing signs of being, signs of going the right direction. And Coach Odoms and Scott and Oliver, Coach Wheatley, Coach Milstead, all those guys played us close, played us hard. And it's not a lot of difference between us and the top and the bottom of this league right now is pretty close. And I can honestly say that everybody that we played gave us all we can handle. So I enjoyed the season, and we started off 0-3. We were 1-4. Part of our success was the fact that our guys, continued to be able to play, given the circumstance. We were so far behind until, it was hard to continue to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And our guys continued to play and got better. We probably played about as good as we played Saturday. Offensively, we played really well, and Norfolk took advantage of us some defensively, got us spread out and crisscrossed us and rubbed us and that kind of stuff and beat us up pretty good and scored some points. But once they got down close to the goal line, then it was a pretty good little deal for us. I think they got close to the goal line 4 times and didn't score, that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty good deal for us in that regard. But at the same time, it was a fun football game and it was a fun year for us. And we all excited about going to Atlanta and looking forward to seeing whoever shows up from the other side from the SWAC.
All right, Coach, you actually beat me to my next question, talking about Celebration Bowl and heading to Atlanta to face the SWAC championship. How elated are you that you and your team are getting this big opportunity to play in the postseason bowl game?
Very. I was asked a couple times, if this was the highlight of my career. When you got as many years as I've gotten in here now, a total, I guess, 40 some odd, I guess. It's hard to decide, but I can tell you that it's the best I felt today for sure. So I'm thinking that it's the best that we can exactly expect to have. So I'm looking forward to this whole deal, and I think our entire fan base is. We'll see. I'm dropping the challenge down now that. Now that we said that we want to be there, you get a chance to be there. I want to see who shows up. I want to see what our numbers look like, when we get there. I don't think, an unusual number would be less than 40,000. I'm hoping that we have a big crowd there. So I'm looking forward to seeing just how big a crowd we can assemble for the South Carolina State / whoever else comes and plays on that date kind of deal.
Right, Coach. The representative from the SWAC will either be Jackson State or Prairie View. Either of those could be your opponent. Have you watched any of them play this year?
I saw Jackson State early in the year against FAMU, and I want to also congratulate Coach Willie Simmons at Florida A&M because they made it into the championship playoffs, and that's what this thing is all about. We'd hope that we'd be able to have our game and still have some other opportunities for some of our other schools. Maybe that'll happen to our league at some point when we have, our second place team that maybe can get into the playoffs. That really shows the strength of your league that way. But I saw Jackson State against FAMU early. I think it might have been the first game of the year. And I can tell you that FAMU was really good. And, I'm really excited to see, them making it. And I'm going to be really watching that game this coming Saturday night. And, at the same time, um, I think I did see Prairie View once, maybe on a Thursday night telecast. They were beating up on somebody. It seemed like it was maybe Arkansas Pine Bluff or somebody like that. But both teams are really good. I know that they both got quarterbacks that can run it and throw it around, that kind of stuff. And, I think Jackson might be real talented on defense. So, that's about all I know at this point.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. And I just remembered that the year Central went to the Celebration Bowl, A&T got selected to the playoffs. So
Did they? Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's
so hopefully we can do it
yeah.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my last question for you, Celebration Bowl is about a month away. How will you maintain the team's momentum during that long time frame?
Well, our guys are off this week. They're going home for Thanksgiving. We met this morning, and we'll meet again next Monday morning at 8. I think we may try to practice a little bit the following week. A good bit of that will be used to give our young guys some good solid work, kind of a fall spring practice kind of a deal. I don't know if I want to do much with our varsity team up to the time that we actually figure out who we're going to play. This is we played 15 games since last year this time. We played 4 in the spring and 11 this fall. So I can tell you that our guys are beat up pretty good, and we need to kind of see if we can heal as much as we can between now and then. So we'll do some stuff with them, but nothing that I'm hoping will give anybody any kind of injury possibilities, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we do need to stay sharp. I'd be afraid of them continuing to play. They're going to play right on through the 4th, I think, maybe of December. And, and we'd be, maybe off for, a long period of time. So we're trying to stay sharp, but at the same time, stay safe.
I like it, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now begin with the media questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning, James. How are you this morning?
Pretty good, sir. Congratulations on solidifying the championship and the entire trophy for South Carolina State University.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Can you just talk about the game on Saturday and getting the victory and moving forward?
Well, it was I thought, an exciting game to watch. It had several lead changes. We scored. They came back and scored. They scored with like less than a minute to go in the first half, or right at a minute to go in the first half. And our guys drove the football down at the very end of the first half and got another score. So we up 10-7 at the half. They come out second half and get the second half kickoff and drive it right down and score. So it's back and forth that way a couple times. And we finally get another score. I think we drive it and score to go back ahead, maybe 20-14 or 20 to it's somewhere in that neighborhood. It was 21-14 maybe. I don't know what was it, Karen? Somewhere in there. And then we kind of go back and forth for a while punting, and then we get another drive and get up by 2 scores, and then they come back and score again at the end. Then we drive it back down and score. We had the football with I guess maybe 6 minutes to go in the game, up by 3 maybe, up by 3, and drove the football the length of the field and scored to kind of put the game away with less than maybe 2 minutes to go in the game, somewhere in that neck of the woods. And then at that point, then we were able to get a turnover to shut it down. But it was a good football game, back and forth that way. And Coach Odoms and his staff, I thought, did a marvelous job with that team. And, I think they've got, a chance to be really good in the future. So we've got our work cut out for us to compete with these guys. This entire league is actually strong that way, where, everybody on a given day will give you a battle. So, that's kind of, I guess, maybe what we can expect for the future.
Coach, the renewed spotlight on HBCU football, and HBCU football legacy has been around since the 1800s, but can you just talk about what that means to you personally, South Carolina Bulldogs football. And again, you're playing on a big stage in Atlanta next month.
Well, James, and I'm glad that you think that is the case. The fact that we are seeming to get, some notoriety that way that we hadn't had in a while, and some of the names that are being talked about for some of the jobs that are coming open now, seem to trend to the fact that we seem to have a lot of the high level kind of guys who are trying to get into HBCU ball that way. So, I say bring it on. Anybody that can increase our notoriety will do something to, to give us a chance to maybe make a few more friends and sponsors and bucks in general. Let me tell you, I saw Dion last night on on a new Aflac commercial, and I want in. Listen, just give me a little crumb of that deal, from time to time. I can do something for y'all that way. So hopefully what'll happen is that we'll all benefit down the road a piece in a way where we can see some benefits for our programs that way.
Thank you, Coach. You have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you in Atlanta. And can you make any closing comments on another championship and how special it is to be back on the HBCU big stage, as it were?
Well, I can tell you it was a long time coming. I've been trying to get in this thing since it was established. I don't know how many years ago. How many years ago, Karen? About 6, maybe 5. Okay. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be on the stage, and this was the model that we all designed when we put this thing in place back when we did. So we're excited about being a part of it. I'm just looking forward to seeing just how much the South Carolina State fan base appreciates it.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Okay, so this is actually the 6th year. We've had 5 Celebration Bowls so far, but yes.
Is that right? So this is the 6th year. Okay,
yes,
good enough. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Up next, Dr. Cavill.
Good morning, Coach Pooh.
Hey, Dr. Cavill, how are you this morning, sir? I'm losing you. Did you hear that, Karen? I didn't hear you.
It went back out. I'm sorry. I said congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you in terms of preparation for the process moving forward. You experienced this in previous platforms or iterations, if you would. How much do you take from that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, how much do you take from that, and what is your preparation plan going into the celebration move?
Well, I think you want to get a little bit of practice for some of your young folk. I think you got enough time in here where you can get a little bit of work for them, give them a little bit of developmental opportunities that way. And then from there, then we've got to actually get into a game prep. We won't know who we're playing for another almost 2 weeks. So, we've got to kind of wait to get that in place in a way where, we can actually have a little bit better idea of what we need to actually prepare for. But we'll do a little bit for both teams, I'm sure, for both Prairie View and Jackson State. I'm sure they'll have some similarities also, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So, I'm thinking that we'll be mostly doing things to develop some of our young guys, and then at the point when we get a little bit better idea of what we're up against as far as is the style of play for the two teams that we are possibly going to play, then we can design some practices around, that information.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to covering you at the game.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to meeting you all in person.
No doubt.
Ty.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you. How you doing?
Hey, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. I just want to know, how do you mentioned that you've been around 40 years. We know you've been around a long time in this game. How do you continue to connect with this TikTok, Instagram generation of players that you have?
I'll just jump in at full speed ahead, Ty. And they teach me more about everything from how to do my phone stuff to how I wear my phone. I used to have a little clip on the side that I used to put my phone. They don't let me do that anymore. They say, Coach, you don't do your phone that way. You do, and the way you wear your pants, I got pants. My pants are a little bit too blousy around, so they give me fashion advice. They give me, social media advice, that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how quickly they disseminate information to each other that way. So it's been more fun for me continuing to stay relevant, to this generation than it has been probably, anything else that's been part of my life.
No matter who you play in the Celebration Bowl, you're going to be painted as the master versus the pupil, likely Eric Dooley or Dion, as it will be. How will you take on that role when they paint you that way in that game?
Well, you know what? I just want to be relevant at the end of the whole deal. It's more about the results than it is about the build up. So, at the point when we get to playing, I want to make sure that my team is well prepared and represents us in a way that, that we can actually think, I'm a pretty good guy that way. But now the build up and all that kind of stuff, that's just hype. And a lot of that kind of stuff is just kind of window dressing. What really makes the difference is what you actually do in preparation for the actual game.
Besides that loss to North Carolina A&T a couple of weeks ago, your team built up down the stretch. So what was it that sustained you down the stretch to help the team get stronger?
I thought we just found a little more about ourselves, as we went along. The fact that we could hang together and deal with the adversity that we had gone through. I mean, we got beaten up really badly there a time or two early. We played Alabama A&M close, but Clemson beat us up. We played New Mexico close, and then we beat Bethune. But FAMU beat us up. I'm telling you, the worst whipping that we got all year was at Florida A&M down in Tallahassee. And, from that point on, it was, what are we about? How can we? And offensively, we've really struggled back and forth. So, I think we finally sort of kind of figured out what we can do offensively. A lot of times you as coaches are still trying to decide, what your real direction ought to be. And, what kinds of things you ought to emphasize and what kind of things, and who can play and who can't play. So as we knew more about our team and as we got to the point where we could execute, better on both ends, we had 2 or 3 guys. We had some injuries too. One of our best defensive player here for the last week or couple weeks or so is Jablonski Green and Karen. Y'all got to get his stats right because this guy got 20 sacks, 20 and a half tackles for loss, way more than anybody in this league in 8 games. Okay. So, we got to, but now this guy, number 34 out there, is kicking butt, and he's made all the difference for us on defense. And then you add to the fact that we've got a couple other guys. Our running back, Kendrell Flowers, has gotten going. Then, this team is actually starting to really develop in a way where some of those guys have come to the forefront and really take it over and really made a difference in our overall scheme of things.
And besides injuries, getting ready for the Celebration Bowl, which is about a month away, what's the most important aspect of your team that you want to be focused on, or not focused on, but better at when you take into that game?
Trying to figure out exactly, what is real with our offense, trying to really make sure that we understand, how we can actually be the most successful, the most dynamic that way. We've got to give in. Sometimes, they got to give in to, what the real statistics, what the real information is that we're gathering. We go back and self-scout and do some things to really give ourselves a good understanding of exactly what was and what was not good about our overall attack this year. And that's got to be, what actually leads us where we need to go.
Well, Coach, congratulations for another one. And I hope you get another one before the season's over. So
well, thank you. Thank you, Ty. I appreciate you.
All right, up next, Darryl Duvall.
Coach, wait.
Hey, Darryl, how are you? Who you, Darryl? Where you from? I haven't seen you before. Where you from?
I'm from Dallas, Texas, Frisco.
Okay.
Dallas. Yes. So I just wanted to congratulate your team and you on winning the last game and also going to the Celebration Bowl.
Okay.
So I'm also from Jackson, Mississippi. So you're going to be playing 2 teams that's going to either be Jackson State or PV. We're hoping Jackson State. That's going to be a game. It's going to be a celebration game. That's what it's going to be about, celebration. And so, my question is, what does your future look like? What does South Carolina future look like from this point after this game? And that's going from recruiting, the team itself, bringing in more teams, and also last, your future. And I hate to say that, I don't hope none of the kids hear this. So,
So you trying to retire me? Is that where you headed?
no. I just hey, you're going to Atlanta, Georgia, Celebration Bowl. So it's gonna be a wake up
Well,
call.
I can tell you that I think I can call my own shots that way. Now, let me tell you what, the last guy who knows he's on his way out is the guy who's on his way out. So I would hope that you don't know something that I don't know, but now I feel like the future of South Carolina State's football athletic program is really bright. We've got a dynamic young interim acting president, Alex Conyers, that I'm really excited by, and looking like he's going to drive us in a real strong and positive direction. I want to be a part of his administration in a way where I get a chance to do what I can for the fan base of South Carolina State and all of the different Bulldog entities around here. And from that point on, it's just let's see what happens next. We think that we just got to keep our heads down and work hard and do the very best we can, and we kind of let the future, kind of take his own path that way. We think the success of it all, will be decided by the hard work of it all. At that point, then we just kind of let it happen.
All right. Well, thank you. Like I said, good luck in the bowl. It's going to be a celebration. It's going to be.
I look forward to it.
Get your popcorn ready.
I look forward to it with either school, Prairie View or Jackson, whichever one comes first. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Thomas Grant.
Thomas is out there. I don't see him. Oh yeah, no.
Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Thomas. Go for it.
All right, Coach. Wanted to ask you about a couple of kids from our neck of the woods who've been contributors for the team from Irmo, talking about running back Kendall Flowers and Sophia Kelly.
Well, both guys are doing really well. Sophia had been out for a little while with a pretty severely sprained ankle. And he did play almost the entire game on Saturday, so he's back to close to 100%. Was our leading interceptor this fall season, and continues to play well. And then we've got to figure out, Karen, I won't beat up on you. We got to figure out how to get a 41-yard run from Ja'Cory Benson back over to Kendriel Flowers, because that would then make Kendriel Flowers the second leading rusher in our league. Will give him some. He had 170 yards Saturday against Norfolk and played real well on 32 carries. Just a good, tough, hard-nosed run game that way. And he'd be somewhere in about the close to 900-yard range if we could get that little piece of yardage on. But really came along nicely. He's a freshman. He transferred from Wake, and then we actually were able to get that year back that he was supposed to be in this past. So he's what we call a 2, which at that point makes him a redshirt sophomore, which gives him 3 more years. So both guys, Zapier is graduating. He's marching this coming, whatever that is. This I think on the 18th, on the 17th. The Celebration Bowl is on the 18th, and our graduation is on the 17th. Yeah. So he's going to march that day. We've got like 7 or 8 guys marching that day. We have 20 guys that actually on our senior day that walked out as if they were not necessarily coming back. But we think we're going to get about 6 or 7 of them. We think it's only about 13 of them going to actually leave. So we've got a nice little group of older guys continuing to, to return back here, to see if they can get us going for the 22 year. Thomas, I'm sorry I took you in a little different direction, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, but and another player on your offensive line, Nick Tace from out of White Knoll, just how has he sort of progressed?
Been a real good offensive line. He's a freshman. We started 2 freshman offensive linemen. 2.5 if you count Chris Simon, who's like a redshirt sophomore. But Nick is probably one of the top young offensive linemen in our league. He and Eric Brown, Eric's our starting center, were both freshmen last year. And, it's a pretty good deal when you get freshmen that can play for you in the offensive line because both those guys we think could be real, real, real good. Real, real good. Real, real, real good. Big excited about it. Yeah.
And then I guess also, once again, it sort of talks about the talent that's within state. Last few years, you've had to basically recruit exclusively in state. I guess going into this game, how much with having a celebration bowl serves as a showcase of how much talent is here on the high school level?
Yeah, it will give us an opportunity to maybe spread our wings a little bit again out into the surrounding area, maybe in about a 200 to 300 mile radius of Orangeburg. That way, swoop down from Jacksonville on back around to Atlanta and across Charlotte, maybe that way, all the way around from there, and then see if we can maybe get a few of those guys. But we don't have a lot of space, so we've got to be really selective in the guys that we do take, because this team is young and I guess maybe mostly returning. So we've got some issues. We got some needs. We need a long snapper. We need some special teams people. We need another position, a guy too. We getting down real low in the quarterback pool. We need a couple, 2, 3, maybe quarterbacks, which is unusual. Ordinarily, we would only take one, but we need a couple of those this year. So, some of that kind of stuff is kind of stuff that's a little bit unique to our group that we have in place at this time. But we'll continue to see if we can work mostly in state and then go out of state for those guys that that we definitely got to get from out of state.
All right, thank you, Coach, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Pugh, for being with us today. I will get with Kendrick so he can submit those corrected changes
Thank you, Karen.
for
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
No
Yeah,
problem.
I put Kendrick on my knee. I can't do that to you, but I'm gonna tell you. All right, let's get it done. Thank you, baby.
Thanks, Coach. All right. Up next, we have Morgan State head coach Tyrone Wheatley. Good morning, Coach Wheatley. How are you?
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right. Okay, so Coach Alonzo Graham ran for a season high, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the Bears to their second win in 3 weeks, this time a 28-21 victory over Georgetown. Can you recap that game for us?
Well, we just talked about resilience, right? These guys, they fought hard. And I want to point out a play by Darius Outlaw, who really, you mentioned Alfonso Graham, but I want to point out the play that Darius Outlaw had. We had Eric snap on the kick on the field goal. Kicker kicked the ball, and their player picked it up and runs, and Darius Outlaw does not give up. Chases the guy down and tackles him. And that really electrified our team right there. Offensive line blocked really well to allow Alfonso to hit those creases, but you have to go to my 2 workhorse running backs. Take it from a guy who runs and take it from a guy who bangs the defense, and then allow the little guys to squirt for those runs. Jabril Johnson and my man 8 did a great job. I apologize. Number 8 did a great job of opening those holes. So, but the defense, it was a bend but don't break. They went out and we were hit early. We were down 14-0, but we just kept fighting. And one of my friends told me, he said, you would never have known that your team was 1-9 at that point. That shows you that the culture, it showed you that the team is changing. Now, what has to take place of going from 2-9 to now going in the more plus of a win column is just these young men have to understand, just because you put the work in doesn't mean people are going to lay down for you. It's all about the application. And that's just being young. My men put in the hard work in the off season, COVID season, and they got stronger, even though we were decimated in injuries. We were decimated. Now and that's the kind of the story of all the MEAC teams right now, but we were decimated. We only had 5 defensive linemen that played that game. 5 defensive linemen that played in that game. And We got stronger as the year progressed, and they fought hard. So to sum up the game is really to sum up our season.
Awesome, Coach. Well, you took my next question. I was going to ask, what were some of the great positives from the season this year?
Well, the great positive is, hey, you got a chance to see what you're really working with and what what you're missing. I have a really good core group of guys, and right now going into this offseason, is just to get them healed up. The great thing about these young men is right now they're talking about getting in the weight room. Coach, when is the weight room going to be open? What time will you be here, Coach? Right? I tell them I have to take a little break, and they say, well, don't take it long. We need you here. So the positives of the season was, like I said, the guys continued to fight. They continued to get stronger. They started to really focus in on their cues and getting better. It was really, truly, as one man went down, the next man was up. We talk about number 25, Mr. Stooks, who came in and played a phenomenal game here at the end. And really proud of this young man. He's a true freshman. Oscar Smith out of Virginia puts out some incredible athletes, and I'm very thankful that the coaches helped me get this young man. But the season was just a progressive season for us, and watching these young men grow, watching them get stronger, watching them get better, watching them learn how to win, and not taking, the hard season of losing and taking it personal and just letting it go. These young men fought throughout the entire year.
Awesome. Great to hear that, Coach. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. And you? How are you?
Pretty good. When you look at building a winner, there's no shortcuts for success. Can you talk about the Morgan way? And it came to fruition on Saturday versus the Georgetown football Hoyas, and just talk about going forward.
Well, every coach has his own, motto or frame of how he wants to structure a football team. Mine is always going to be physicality. As we say here at Morgan, physicality is a lifestyle. It is a way. It's the way you live. We attack all situations, and these young men are starting to show it. We want to put a product on the field that's very physical in nature. We want, as Coach Buddy Pugh talked about being physically beat up. That's what we want every opponent to be looking at us and saying, "Man, okay, we have Morgan State on the top. This is going to be a game. Get ready." And we're getting there. We're getting there, as everybody stated. Also, first I want to just take a break to say congratulations, Coach Pugh, and also to all the coaches in the MEAC. I have to do my job to get this team from the bottom to the top, which everybody is doing. But this conference has been stellar, and it's growing and it's getting better. But to talk about what you were saying is, I have to now build my team to beat the South Carolina States, to beat, the Norfolks, not just be in those games, not to give South Carolina State the turnovers, not to go over to Norfolk and be up and then give up a touchdown. But at the same time, to physically grind and physically just mutilate teams as we play them.
Coach, in terms of transfer portal, JUCO, high school student athletes who want to be a part of it, and the student athletes you have on campus, when you look at the pool of student athletes out there who want to be a part of something special and how you build that legacy, can you just talk about that piece and that part of it?
Well, yes. Well, first and foremost, it starts with the men here. And these young men are starting to understand the culture and what culture means, because culture is what you lean on when everything else falls apart. And culture is also the transition into tradition. So we have a profile of young men that we like, that we want to bring into Morgan. It's a self-motivated young man. I'm a little different in terms of when my job isn't to motivate you. If you say you love this game, there's no one should have to motivate you. When I wake up, I don't drink coffee. Everybody asks me, you don't drink coffee, you're up at 4:30. No, air motivates me. Just the reason of the dear Lord giving me to wake me up in the day motivates me. And not to step on my soapbox, I'm just tired of young men talking about, well, you got to motivate. No, I don't have to motivate you. I'm sorry, sir. If I have to motivate you, you're not the guy for me. The next thing is I want a guy who's really, really physical. I like a physical brand of football, okay? And so when I'm going out and these are the profiles, the next thing is academically. You don't have to be, a rocket scientist, but you have to have a guy of the will to want to be academically sound. You don't have to be an all-A student, but if you're a guy who go to class and get the most out of class and want more for himself to provide for himself, his future, then this is the place for you. But if you're a guy who wants to just get by, if you're a guy who just wants to say, you know what, I'll try this out, because trying it out isn't for me here. You have to want it. And you're going to have bad days. You have to understand, going back to physicality. To me, physicality means that you attack. You're always on attack, right? So if you have an issue, let's attack that issue. But then on the top of that, we have to bring in guys from programs that understand what it means to win. A lot of guys, Coach Oldham, every coach kind of has this way of talking about the process and not the outcome. These young men nowadays just see the final product on the field, right? They see these guys playing. They all want to wear their shirts hanging out, hoods on the back. And I ask them all the time, does that really produce you any measures? If your shirt is hanging out, does that really help you play? Because to me, in the weight room, loving your brother, playing for another, protecting your team, holding people accountable, those are the things that help you win. And what I call it the desensitizing of recruitment. When we bring guys in, we don't take pictures in jerseys. And if a kid insists on taking a picture in a jersey, you know what? I tell him he's not for us. And people kind of say, well, Coach, you're robbing them of the recruiting experience. The recruiting experience isn't the jersey. You get the jersey when you sign your lettered name on a dotted line and become a Morgan State Bear. You earn that jersey. You don't get it just to take a picture in it. You have to earn it. And so that's moving forward. And what you're saying is that's what I'm looking for. And that's how I'm trying to build this team.
Coach, in closing, the renewed spotlight on HBCU football, it's been around since the 1800s. It's not a new concept, but when we see gentlemen like yourself, Coach Prime, and everybody is looking at HBCU football, can you talk about how beautiful the MEAC is and how beautiful the SWAC is, and again, the HBCU football experience?
Well, it's absolutely incredible. It's funny. I had a bunch of friends who came up to the game from the University of Michigan. And one of the biggest things that they mentioned about the University of Michigan was the decline of the black, just not the black athlete, just a black student on University of Michigan campus. When I was there, it was 40,000 students, and it was 3,000 of us. Right now, Michigan is at maybe 45,000, 46,000, and they say it's only 600 students. And when you think about it, we had our own little HBCU when I was on that campus. It was just us. We had a lounge called the Abatama Lounge where we would go in South Quad and just hang out. And there would be like 70 of us in that lounge. And we just kind of hung out in that lounge. I talked about when I was at Syracuse. I talked about when I was at the University of Michigan, and especially at the University of Michigan during the height of the Colin Kaepernick deal. You know, I always felt like there was this spotlight on me. And when I wanted to voice my opinion, it was always said, hey, you can't voice your opinion. I was like, but wait a minute, I am a black man. But now I'm at an HBCU. There was the first time I ever felt in my professional career that I didn't have to watch what I said, because my president, my athletic director, I even have the shirt on that says, equality, right? We had a march here on campus. So I know you're talking about the athletic side of it. I'm just talking about the actual just being a person part of it. Because there's one thing about being a black man in an institution where you're the minority, where you have to watch and you feel uncomfortable, where you can now come to a higher place of higher learning and just blend in and not have to go through the extra just to be who you are. Now you talk about the athletic side of it. Now you can just go be an athlete, right? Now you can just go be an athlete. I remember the days at University of Michigan during the affirmative action days. Do you know how it feels to have someone point at you and say the only reason why you're on my campus is because you're an athlete and you're black? So I know we're talking about the athletic side, but I just really want to hit the personal side of it. But then you talk about Buddy Pugh, who's been here for 40 years, who's put several guys in the NFL. His product is incredible. He's done an incredible job. You know, now you talk about Prime, who's now taking it to the next level of putting it out there on social media and getting commercials and bringing those things in. And it's growing. You know, it's growing. But I would just have to say this. We have to make sure our institutions has the platform and the foundation to support the wave that's about to come, the influx that's about to come. So, you know, the institutions have priority and a job to do as well. But I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor covering you. You have a great holiday season, and we look forward to covering you next season, and we'll keep our eyes on you in spring football.
James, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, Ty.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you. How you doing?
I'm fine. And you? How are you?
I'm good, Coach. I want to ask you from a player standpoint or position standpoint, what's the most pressing need for Morgan State going into the 2022 season in terms of what do you need to be better at on the field next season from a skill position or from a position group?
Skill position, I think we're decent, we're good. I think, like I say, our guys are just young, and as they mature, they'll grow into their roles, and as their roles will increase, they'll be able to handle, what's to come forth. But right now, up front, both offensively and defensively, we were plagued with injuries, and so we just have to solidify that quarterback play. And it's funny that we all talk about, that special teams, the kicker and the long snapper. So those are the positions of need for me going into this off season.
And Coach Odoms talked earlier about his team needing to be stronger in the weight room. Where's your team in that aspect?
Well, like I talked about it, I was very impressed with my team down the stretch of being stronger, being able to play. And we were just different. We were lopsided. We were very, very slow and still in the first half, but we came out in the second half and we played very strong. We played very physical. Dr. Dorsey, who's our strength and conditions coach, does a really good job with our guys. And we really play a physical brand of football. So like we say, everything we do here, we attack the weight rooms. And I always tell the players, I say, hey, that 45-pound play has never lost a day in its life. But you know what? You better damn sure try and beat it today. So we get after it in the weight room, and we're very physical. We run. But our young men have to learn how to say, okay, I had a great time in the weight room. Now I have to learn how to apply it and use it on the field. And that's just the youth of where my young men have to understand that there's no greater feeling in the world than moving a man against his will and understanding that the work that I put in the weight room will allow me to do such. But there's going to come a time he's going to push me back. And we always talk about his 2 rams on the top of this hill. Who's going to be the last ram standing? Okay. And the way you get stronger, you have to understand, you have to embrace the soreness. You have to embrace the calluses that you're building on your body, right? So when I go out there and I want to rub against you, and I want to press against you, and I want to push against you, I'm not going to back down.
And finally, Coach, the other thing I want to ask you about was, I lost my train of thought here for a second, was about, I think it was a recruiting aspect. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
When you talked about earlier about the kind of men you want to recruit for your team, what about the guy who doesn't know the process or what to do? Because there are a lot of high schoolers out there nationwide who don't know, even in some cases, don't know even Black colleges exist in terms of they can, put their tapes out there for them or contact those institutions. What advice would you give them in terms of trying to contact Morgan State in terms of getting a look from your school?
Well, first and foremost, if you want to get on our Twitter is MSU Bears FB, and our it's the same with our Instagram. I'm not really familiar with all the deals, but that's how you get in touch with us. But here's the deal, and I know I said something earlier when it was in COVID and people had an uproar, and my position doesn't change. This is the information age. There's nowhere in the world as you, a young man, should ever say, I don't know what's out there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the business you want to be in, and this is what you want to do. It is your job to find out. What we have is too many parents, and I have a lot of kids who come on campuses, and their parents talk the entire time, and I tell the parent right away, I'm not recruiting you. I recruit your son. Okay? And these young men have to understand, if this is what they want to do, this is how they have to figure it out. Now, I'll do it this way for you, and this is what I do with my sons. Go to ncaa.org. They'll have Division I FBS, Division I FCS, Division II, and Division III. You can click on the conferences and look at every school. Look at every school. The MEAC is there and the SWAC is there. The CIAA and every other conference is in there. Here's where the kids need to understand. They need to understand who they are. Meaning, what level of play are you? We all want to play the top level, but guess what? We all can't. So you have to understand who you are as a player and then match yourself to that. And then here's the next portion of it is, all you need is one school. All you need is one school. I really don't like when guys say I'm being overlooked and you have 15 offers. How do you have 15 offers and you're overlooked? All you need is one. Okay? So I'll say it again. MSU Bears, FB is our Twitter and our Instagram. Okay? Look on NCAA.org, FCS, FBS, Division II, Division III. Oh, and I forgot. Another great place where guys can go play, NAIA. Okay? It's a lot of great NAIA ball out there. So they can look those up. All the conferences are listed. They just go through the conferences, pick a school that you like or school in the area, contact the coaches. There you have it.
Coach, thanks for that comment, because oftentimes, like you said, kids, they expect people to come looking for them. They may not know they exist sometimes, so they need to put the work in themselves. So that's the comment we'll pass along to a lot of kids who need to hear that. Thank you very much for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Wheatley, for being here, being flexible enough to pivot to teams with us this morning, and just being with us all season. Thank you for everything. Best of wishes during the off season, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to conclude our weekly football coaches video conference, our last one for the season. But before we end the call, I would really, really, really like to thank all the media members who've shown up with us week in and week out for being here and being consistent. The sports information offices for their assistance all season long, and of course, our corporate partners for their support. I know we're finishing up with this, but for always knowing what's going on in the MEAC football and other sports, log on to MEACsports.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at MEAC Sports. We're also on TikTok and YouTube at the MEAC Digital Network. Everyone have a safe and enjoyable holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you all down the road. Have a good one.